Well, hello there. I'm Andy Kerridge, and I'm here to talk to you about Suffolk Family History Society. I'm the chair of the society, and my contact details will be on the last slide should you wish to get in touch with me directly. Last year, the society celebrated its 50th anniversary. We started in Lowestoft in 1975, and what we do is typical of a UK family history society. We are a registered charity, we have trustees and officers, and we are supported by many volunteers. We are members of the Family History Federation. We have over 1,500 members, most not surprising in the UK, and most of those in Suffolk. But we also have good representation in North America and the Antipodes, and a smattering of members around mainland Europe, one in South Africa and another in Malaysia. Transcriptions are one of the key activities that we undertake, but we also do events and virtual and face-to-face activities. We publish a quarterly high-quality journal, of which we are very proud, called Suffolk Roots, and then there are other membership benefits, which I'll talk about later. To go into a bit more detail on transcriptions, the Society is transcribing and indexing Suffolk parish registers, and there's a lot of them. About 500 Anglican parishes, but the end is in sight. We have done all the burials for the county up to 1900, and as you can see, available as a CD and download. That's altogether 1.3 million burials. And then for the baptisms and marriages, we have been working backwards from 1837 in the case of marriages and 1900 for baptisms. We do have a few transcripts which go beyond 1900, but as yet they are not available. So far, all the marriages from 1754 to 1837 have been transcribed, as have the baptisms from 1754 to 1900. And these are available to buy or request searches of. I'll just say a few more words about searches. If the surname you are looking for is unusual, and also if you are unsure where in Suffolk they may be, then a search can be a quick and cost-effective solution for searching the Anglican registers at least. The majority of marriages in the next phase back to 1650 and a fair bit of those in the last phase back to 1538 have also been done. And then for baptisms, we're in a, just about the same situation, with slightly fewer being transcribed back to 1538. Lastly, we recently released an index for nonconformist and workhouse baptisms, which you can see there. Our transcripts are more than just names and dates. We also include occupations, if they're given, and comments made in the original register. At the bottom of the slide, you can see an example baptism from Ipswich St Mary Le Tower, where you will see that the additional notes give the date of birth, the fact that it was a private baptism, and that Harriet was then received into church. We also get the mother's maiden name and the home parish. Of course, not everyone is like that. The work currently underway covering the early years is a mixture of good and not so good. It's good because from a transcription point of view, there are not so many registers. There certainly were not 500 parishes in 1538. So there are a few parishes to cover, and then the entries themselves are very brief, e.g. baptised John Smith. However, the other side of that is the quality of the records that are available may not be so good. These records are 400 to 500 years old, and they haven't always been kept in the best of conditions. In parish chests that have been kept in the damp, may have had insect infestation, and so forth. So the survival of some of the records and the quality of the records isn't always that great. And also on the downside is the poor legibility of some of the writing. And of course, some of it was still in Latin. All of our transcripts are available as CD or downloads from our online shop. The link is on the screen, but you can also search the internet for it. An important point here is that members get a 20% discount. So if you're talking about a CD or download for that matter, costing 10, 15 or £25, you can soon recoup the cost of membership with the discounts that are available. It is important to note that Ancestry released their high-quality colour parish register scans and indexes for Suffolk in August 2025. As many have found with Ancestry in the past, the quality of their indexing is variable, to say the least. And I have to say, of course, that our transcripts are far better. And that's because they are transcribed by people with local knowledge, and they also go through a process of double entry checking. I'm not saying we don't have errors, and we do publish a list of updates periodically. I'll also mention that we have shared some of our older indexes with Find My Past. So if you subscribe to Find My Past, you will see those, I think, from 1754 onwards are up there. And there is also an earlier version of the National Burial Index. One thing to note is that our CD downloads are done by Deanery, which is a group of about 15 to 30 parishes. Our shop helps explain and has lists of the parishes covered within a deanery, but this map gives you an idea of what's there. One thing to point out is that Wangford Deanery, up in the top right there, there are two parishes of Wangford, neither of which are in that deanery, just to confuse things further. So, yeah, Suffolk has a number of parishes with the same name that are nowhere near each other. So, again, our parish locator will explain that. We have also transcribed monumental inscriptions, usually called MIs, to avoid stumbling over saying it. These are usually gravestones, but include inscriptions on the inside of churches, plaques on the walls, etc., for about 160 burial grounds and churches around the county. So that's probably about 15% of the burial grounds. There will, of course, be more burial grounds than parishes. Many of the churches and churchyards have outgrown, or the graves have outgrown the churchyards, and there are separate cemeteries. We have several other parishes ready to go on our new website after some process. We also have indexes to hearth tax returns. Hearth tax returns are the nearest that we get to a census for 17th century Suffolk. It identifies those from the wealthier tiers of society. And if your ancestors or relatives are on that hearth tax list, the chances are there are probably other records. If they are wealthy and own 2 or 3 hearths, then they may have left a will. They may well have gone into property transactions or property disputes. They were at least the middle class of the 17th century. For the hearth taxes, we've got pretty good coverage in terms of parishes, but within a parish, there may be only 1 year present, or there may be 3 or 4. You can see an example from the slide for Roger Clark in 1666 with 2 hearths in Alderton. The notes say his surname was spelt differently in 1674, and that really is not uncommon, and that he was a blacksmith. The number 28 is refers to the line number in the original record. So you can cross-compare neighbours and so forth. Then we have an index to the coroner's inquest for East Suffolk, and we are working on bringing it up to 1936 when the files end. I know 1922 was transcribed just before Christmas. I've shown 3 examples to show the wide range of entries, and you can see there. Sorry. Sorry, go back. I did really pick some odd ones there with somebody killed crossing a rifle range, not a sensible thing to do. Somebody killed by a Zeppelin, and then an 83-year-old lady killed by immersion whilst being baptized. Yeah. Lastly, for members, they can search past copies of Suffolk Root. This is always worth a check by new members to see if anyone has previously written about their surname or place of interest. All 4 of these indexes are available for members to search for our website, but non-members can also request a search for a very small fee. and details are on our website. We have some other indexes which are open to all, not just members. We have the World War II Roll of Honour, and I've given an example of an entry, not too surprisingly, it's a carriage. We have the Great Grandparents Index, which we started in 2019 for members to submit, and we have over 500 entries in there. And then members' interests. Members are asked to share their interests, whether in Suffolk or not, and we also share this list with the Family History Federation for their consolidated members' interest search facility. We have 3 new indexes. Firstly, the Ipswich Vaccination Birth and Deaths Indexes. The vaccination returns are copies of the civil registers of births for the town, with the addition of the deaths of any infants who died before they could be vaccinated. And I'll say a bit more about that in a minute. This data is searchable by all on our new website. You don't have to be a member. Here is a sample of the birth register page for 1912. It contains the detail you expect to see on a birth certificate and details of the vaccination. The notice may have been given to the mother, so you get her name as well. The first line has an illegitimate birth, but if the father's name and occupation is mentioned, you can see that one of the children died before vaccination. I know I said we've got up to 1910, and so why am I showing one from 1912? But an explanation for that will come shortly. The next slide shows a page from the death registers in 1914, and it becomes even more interesting, as the death registers should only be for deaths of infants within a year or so of vaccination. But for Ipswich, the medical officer of health decided to record all deaths. So as you can see here, these are definitely not infants. And again, you get pretty much everything you would have on a death certificate. We have transcripts for both births and deaths from 1871 to 1910. They cover most, but not all of it, which I think 13 out of the 16 current parishes. As the work on transcribing them was part of an open university project looking at infant mortality and paid for by grants, essentially public funds, we have been given permission to offer them on the basis that access is free. So these join the list of indexes open to all our on our new website. And why I showed slides from 1912 and 1914 is that we are now part of the project team working on extending the coverage at least up until 1926, working with Suffolk Archives and the Universities of Cambridge, Suffolk and Edinburgh, as well as a team in Denmark who are adapting and training an AI transcribing model. Exciting times. Oh, and by the way, there is survival of the vaccination registers for some other towns in Suffolk, so they could be part of a future project. The second new index is in very early stages. We found amongst our files a CD of Suffolk wills beneficiaries covering from 15th century to the 20th. Far from complete, it appeared to be crowdsourced. No one now in the society or outside the society was able to give the full background. We know that 2 volumes were produced and printed and sold, covering 1847 to 1857. So we have taken the data, recruited volunteers, and now working back from 1847. We know that Ancestry will be scanning an indexing probate for Suffolk as part of the contract with Suffolk Archives, but they tend to focus on the testators, whereas wills can be very name-rich, with some wills having 30 to 40 other names of family, friends, neighbours, and so forth. And the third index we've just started, and that is for BMD certificates, or GRO certificates. Over the last couple of years in particular, the Society has taken on the family history effects of some past members, and some had accumulated a considerable quantity of certificates. Well, don't we all? The easiest way to make the information widely available is to make an index, so that's what we're doing. We'll be going out to members soon to ask for scans and photos of any certificates they have in their files to add to this index. Noting that the certificates are usually copies anyway, so the valuable part is the information, not the certificate. So moving away from transcriptions, another key activity is that the Society puts on Zooms, which at the moment are only for members after an issue last year. But we are looking at how we can open them up again. I've put up the programme for the next few months on the screen. A variety of subjects there, from general family history to Suffolk specific. For those who miss the talks, we do, whenever possible, record them and we make them available to members on our website for a couple of weeks after the talk. We have 5 local groups: Lowestoft, Bury St Edmunds, Haverhill, Ipswich and Sudbury, and they put on monthly talks. In the summer, they may do a parish walk or visit a site of interest within the vicinity. Most of them hold some form of help sessions as well. Haverhill have a weekly session on a Wednesday, for example, and our Ipswich group is just starting a 3-talk series on begin researching your family history. And the next slide has more details. The list on the screen gives you a flavour of the variety of talks that they put on. These local group meetings are open to all and provide a great opportunity to meet with others and maybe find somebody else who's interested in the same name or the same village that you're interested in. And there's always an opportunity to chat with us over a cuppa. The activities are published in advance via the variety of media, but if anybody is visiting the area and wants to know what's going on, just email me or look on our web pages. On the group section, you'll find out what's going on. This is a slide about the Ipswich course. I'll leave it there for a second or two so you can grab some of the details. Ipswich chairman at suffolkfhs.org.uk. If we move on before you've got those details, email me and I'll share them. We participate in a number of fairs around the country, with the first of 2026 being the Federation's East Anglia Really Useful Family History Show in St Ives near Cambridge, as you can see from the slide. And that is followed a few weeks later by our own fair in Ipswich on 9th of May. If you're in the area for either or both of those fairs, please come along. We have stalls, obviously, at our own, but also, as you can see, at the St Ives one. And we'd be very happy to have a chat. And then, of course, we have Suffolk Roots. I've reproduced the contents page of our most recent edition for December 2025, so you get a flavour. Typically 90 or so pages. The theme for December was immigration to Suffolk. So we had stories of Scottish farmers and Italian ice cream sellers. An article does not have to be about or within the theme for the quarter. We just try to make a theme to drive interest in that area and act as a catch or a hook for people to put something together. Members can search past copies of the journal on the website right back to 1975. And when you join the society, one of the first things you should do is go and look at those past editions. So obviously, I'm hoping that you're interested enough to want to become a member. So what do you get? As I've already said, we've got members on the area of the website, and that has access to some indexes already mentioned, such as Hearth tax or MIs, but there are other indexes as well. We've got exchange journals with societies in North America, Australia, New Zealand, and a couple of other family history societies in the UK, which you can read. As a member, you get 20% discount on publications, excluding postage, of course. You get our excellent Suffolk Roots journal, which you can receive in paper or download from the website. And there is a monthly emailed newsletter. The website has a help forum where you can ask other members for help, and you can attend our Zoom presentations or watch them later if they've been recorded. Of course, you can vote on our AGM, which is held via Zoom, so accessible for all. And new members will be sent or can download a welcome pack and any already issued Suffolk Roots journals for the current membership year. So there we are. Thank you for your time. Here are my contact details. I'll leave them up on the slide. If you want to contact me about your Suffolk interest, and if you also want to become a member, but you can do that also by looking at our website and the tab on membership. Thank you very much. Have a good day.